Taffel railway line. With my little pick and shovel, I'll be there. Well, I'll be there, I'll be there. With my little pick and shovel, I'll be there. I'll be there, I'll be there. And when the coal comes down to Cardiff, I'll be there. When the coal comes from the Rhondda down the Taffel railway line. When the coal comes from the Rhondda, I'll be there. Or when the coal comes from the Rhondda down the Taffel railway line. With my little pick and shovel, I'll be there. I'll be there, I'll be there. And with my little pick and shovel, I'll be there. I'll be there, I'll be there. And with my little pick and shovel, I'll be there.
Welcome to the Central Stand. So basically we have got a brand new manager, Barry Murphy, Jamie Anderson, my guest of honour. How are we doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, mate, it's finally done, isn't it? It's nice to
Yep.
actually stop the speculation, stop all the who is it going to be, and finally now look forward to who we're going to bring in. So player-wise, of course. So yeah, it's done. BBM is in the building, and let's get cracking.
Yeah, so like for the last half an hour, I was like, "Oh, should we do a show? Shouldn't we do a show?" And I been rushing around like a headless chicken for the last half an hour, but we live. So Jamie, now he is the manager. What do you think we can expect the becoming days of his appointment, mate?
Well, I believe they start back next Monday, so I think the first thing for him is to get used to the building, the surroundings, the local area, etc. But also, I think what we can expect from him is this modern approach. I'm not saying tiki-taka by any means, but as he said in his recent podcast, he's a bit more mature now. You know, he understands football probably a bit better, the nuances of it, that you can't necessarily pass a team off the pitch and win games. Results are what matters at the end of the day, and he'll be judged on that. We've given him a 3-year deal, as someone just said in the comments there, which is a big shock. Now, whether that's Vincent Tan saying 3-year deal, whether I'm here or not, you've got that man, or if he genuinely believes the structure or something's going to change at the club where for 3 years we're going to be implementing something. But we've signed him up. Now we've got to back him, haven't we, Dan?
Yeah, we got to back him, and mate, I'm so ecstatic, excited. Like we've been back and forth all day, Jamie, in the group chat. When he's gonna be released, 1 o'clock came, 2 o'clock came, 5 o'clock came, and we honestly thought, right, it ain't today. But yeah, what style of play do you think he's gonna play, Jim? What are you looking forward? What kind of play do you think he's gonna play, Jim?
I just hope it's front foot and something that is quite mobile. You know, like we said yesterday, that we don't want this slow, lethargic build up or this sort of lack of mobility with players who are almost sort of stuck in the mud. We don't want that. We want players move in, pass, move, and for us to dictate games. We are the big fish in the league, and we are going to be someone that they will bank a lot of players behind the ball in their own respected right. So we're going to have to mix it up, Dan. So BBM's got to make this perfect recipe of what can we do. Is he going to go long? Is he going to short? But live and direct. He looks good in his nice new suit that he's got on.
Oh yes, very smart and dapper.
Yeah, and again, the comments, as we'll probably discuss later, from whether they're generic or not, upon his announcement from Vincent Tan, they talk about his characteristics, about his passion and his enthusiasm. So hopefully we see that passion and enthusiasm on the sideline. And dare I say it, I know he's been in the 21s at Manchester City and it's a big club, but we are a big club in contrast to them. I'm not saying it wasn't competitive at the 21s level by Man City by any means, but this is a club that is unfortunately on the descendancy. We've declined the last 12, 18 months. He's got a big job on his hands, and hopefully he's ready for it.
Do you feel now with the time against us, do you feel like he's going to get some serious players in now, do you think? With the departure of Aaron Ramsey, so that frees up some money. What kind of direction would you like him? Would you like him to have more of a senior squad with a few youngsters, or a lot of youngsters and just one or two older players just to nature the youngsters, Jim?
Yeah, I think it's a mix, isn't it? We all want to see our homegrown players coming through. I think we've got a very good sort of cluster of players that we think that are ready. They didn't necessarily get as many chances they wanted to in a championship, but this is League One now, so you'd expect them to probably, make or break it, because at the end of the day, if you're not going to give them the chance to shine now or when they're 20, 21-year-old in League One, no disrespect to League One, then you're probably never going to use them. So there is a fine line between mix and, between youthfulness and experience. But again, one thing we want to see is we want to see passion, we want to see fight, we want to see a lot of energy and a lot of balls, so to say. And I think our youngsters certainly give it. And I don't think he's going to be this sort of person that whether you're on 25 grand a week or if you're on 2 grand a week, so to say, from what he said at Rochdale previously, it was you play on merit. Doesn't matter who you are, you play on merit. So hopefully that transpires and we see, the best players who deserve to be in the starting 11 playing week in, week out.
Yeah, just a shout out to everyone who's watching. Please share, please like and subscribe. So if you got any questions, please send us your questions. We'll put them to both of us and we'll answer them. So let's start off with our main man, Connor. BBM needs backing. These players gone through too many managers. We need a big clear out and a good 7-8 new players through the door. What do you feel about that, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're bringing a manager in on a 3-year deal. So you're telling me there probably that you're going to give him 3 years to build a project of some sorts. Like I said yesterday, we don't know who's going to leave, if anyone's going to leave. You've had Darren Whitcoop say that ultimately there was interest apparently in O'Dowda and Robinson. Now, you'd expect that, being that Callum Robinson was our player of the season and scored a lot of goals for us last year. Callum O'Dowda is just Mr. Consistent, isn't he? So, if they were to go, that's 2 big spots that need filling. And again, whenever a team goes down, the teams in the higher leagues will take your better players. So the likes of Yusuf Salad, I think it's important that we do keep a hold of him. And I think Barry Murphy would have looked already at the team and gone, this is a guy that in 4 or 5 months since January came in and made a massive impact. So 7 or 8 players, that's a completely rebuild, I suppose. So Connor's probably right there. There are a lot of players that have come in or been a mainstay over the last few years, and they've outstayed managers. So there's always I suppose, an issue there.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. Like I was bouncing around the room when I found out, and like those 2 roles you were just saying, Jim. Like, what players are you excited, knowing that he works with a lot of youngsters? You got Alex Robertson, he was one of them, like which you told me the other night, which was a surprise. What players, you follow at the under 21s everywhere, you go and watch them. What players do you think are gonna break through now, having this sort of manager in place, mate?
Well, I think Dylan Lawler is somebody that I think is just he's developing and maturing with each game he plays. He didn't play. He didn't look out of kilter at Aston Villa away in the FA Cup, and that's where we talk about that mix. He had the mix of experience around him, but he was giving it his all, wasn't he? And I think he is somebody that is an asset to our club. And if we continue to play him, he will give us some money if we were to sell him, which obviously we don't want. But at the end of the day, your youngsters are always in the shop window. I've always loved Louis Giles, a local boy. I think he's got a wand of a left foot. He gets up and down the line really well. And over the last few years, we've seen Callum O'Dowda have to fit in at left back. And to be honest, I'd rather see now someone like a Louis Giles, who's an out-and-out left back, get the chance to prove it, or a Joe Bagan. But you always look at the attacking players, don't you? You look at the attacking players and you think the likes of Isaac Davis, is this going to be his season? Is it going to be a Kean Ashford season? And I am looking forward to the youngsters. We've got some really good youngsters in the 18/21s like Manny Barton. There's a lot of players coming through that will be chomping at the bit now. Now they've known that this manager's coming in who, like you just said, is quite happy to play youngsters.
Yeah, I think that's music to our ears, isn't it? I think that's, you know, as a Cardiff community, as a club, we've been crying this for ages. So, Jim, I bet you're feeling ecstatic knowing what kind of triumph you could really bring. And it's nice to talk about positive stuff. I know last weekend going on, it was a lot of negative stuff going on. But mate, I feel brand new today. It's taking something so small as getting a new manager. I think it's hope. I think it gives us a bit of direction. Now he's coming into the building, and I just can't wait for him to settle, get the players bouncing. I feel like he's the way he comes across anyway when he talking about his podcast. He looks a very nice, genuine person, and I think okay, Omar Rizza was, but I think we just need to give him time now, get
Yeah.
the structure right. It's not his fault he's come in so late, so we'll have to bear with him. But as Lee said, time will tell, but we'll give him time. Just depends on Tan and his patience. Do you agree with that, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it and say Tan's been having too much patience. Like you said, again, it's no disrespect to our previous managers, but he did get probably a lot of time when people were probably pressuring him to not have that time. And again, this club is a club that needs direction and structure. We've talked about it. So any little bright sparks and positives, this is a new start for us. It's a new division, for the modern fans like me myself who didn't experience the old Division 3s and 4s. So this is going to be a big season for us, and you can't underestimate anything. And like I said, Brian Barry Murphy's brought in his former assistant manager at Rochdale, Lee Riley,
Yeah.
who was a talent ID spotter originally at Man City, and then obviously went into the 21. So he's going to have a few connections as well. And I see some of these comments here, like Rye 420, he's saying about Alves, would he come back under Brian Barry Murphy with his Leicester connections? I think there's a reason to be optimistic at the fact that we've got a manager that has managed or coached younger players who we'd only wish to have like raw pace in the team, and someone that can just light up a stadium. We've got good individual players, but I think as a collective last year, whether it was because confidence was shot or whatever, we didn't see enough consistency, I think, with the team where, Alex Robinson, we know the talent he's got. So hopefully now Barry Murphy knows that and can say straight away, "You're my talisman."
Do you think Alves has most probably had a chat with him? Because most probably he knew he was going to be the manager. Do you think he's had a conversation saying, right, what's the score there? What's the direction there? Is there
Yeah,
anything you can give me with the players? Because he's been around the players, Alves has. So he most probably will, have a phone call with him, which I would expect anyway, what you would do. And
yeah.
he's most probably saying, right, this is where it's going, this is where it could go better. And, just thinking about that could make a big difference, couldn't it, Jim?
It can. You'd be very naive and probably silly not to do your due diligence on somebody that's already been in and around the environment. I mean, no disrespect to Will Alves, but you can't be in a worse environment than last year. We got relegated, the whole toxicity of the club and the whole, sort of downward spiral that we were on. It was not a nice place to be. And again, he was only young, so we had to experience that. And I wouldn't be again seeing Will Alves, but again, isn't it? Leicester have got their own issues now with their financial fair plays and stuff. So they may have to sell, but then they may rely on their youngsters. But again, he's got plenty of connections, you'd imagine. You're not got Man City on your CV for the amount of years that he had, if you don't think is a good thing. And, I don't like to say about our hierarchy too much on a positive episode, but they brought him in for a reason, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time, and you can if but maybe whatever the reason, what it is. But we've got a manager now, and Kyle's just saying, what style of football do you think you go with? We want to see, high tempo, high press. We want to see in your face. We don't want teams having too much of the ball and being able to dictate the way the game goes. I don't think that's what Cardiff City's about. I think Cardiff City, like I said yesterday, is blood, is thunder, it's it's passion, it's effort. And if a player can come off the pitch having run up and down that line for 92, 93 minutes, we can all applaud that. And I think that's what we want to see. We want to see energy, because I always say, Dan, the product on the pitch resonates with the fans off it, and vice versa. Us fans are up for it. If the players aren't up for it, it's not, it's not great. So again, like I think Morgan just put a comment in now, saying the interview has just gone up, and how they spoke about the talent coming through, which attracted him to the role. Fantastic music to our
Yeah,
ears. And I know talk
great
is cheap.
stuff.
Don't get me wrong. We can all talk like I can now, but you know what? Pre-season's only around the corner. You know, this will be the start. Hopefully, they announce more fixtures now as well, just to keep that momentum going, because positivity breeds positivity, negativity breeds negativity. So, we've got to keep going. And like I said, we'll be there. Pick and shovel, we'll be there. And
Hmm.
hopefully, we start seeing some brighter sparks.
Yeah, so going on Connor's question, guys, I will get to every single question. Don't worry, because they're flooding in. Thank you so much for the questions. I think Ruben Caldwell could finally unlock his potential under BBM, and this is what we're crying out:
Yeah.
players playing for the shirt. You
So,
know Ruben Caldwell. He's come for the academy, and I think what's happened. I think the club have put too much pressure on him, Jim. And I think what needs to happen, I think he just needs to go back to basics. And a youngster coach like this could most probably give him that, that, I don't know,
the
build
freedom.
back up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that freedom to be like, okay, we'll work on this. I'll give you a chance. Do you know what you think about Jim?
Yeah, I agree. I think what's important to realize is no player is the same. They all develop at different stages. You know, we've seen the likes of Kian Ashford, who burst on the scene, scoring the late winner against Ipswich. Was it? It was against Southampton. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was. But again, it's so easy as a footballer to have a high, but it's how you experience those lows and how you deal with it. And not everyone can. Again, when you're homegrown, naturally fans want you to succeed more than anybody. And sometimes that pressure is probably a bit too much to handle. And managers then take them out of the team because they feel it's the best for them. Ruben's got, he's got quality. He doesn't score goals like he did against Southampton for no reason. He is brilliant. He's got the height. He's got a lot of talent. Um, Russell Martin sings the praises of him, and I know he's I hate him to the passion, but when you listen to him talk about Ruben's qualities, they're there. They just need unlocking and they just need nurturing. And like you said, there's a lot of players here that have individual qualities that if they can be cohesively put together in a structured game plan, we'll be on fire. But again, it's putting them the right pieces on the pitch with the right
Hmm.
ideas, with the right information for them to succeed. Because otherwise, they're just gonna, unfortunately, they're gonna drown, and we don't want that.
Another question I want to put out, mate. Because like if we found out this weeks ago, do you think because we've been waiting for so long now, it makes it even more exciting? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's it's just the pantomime that's Cardiff City. I think, isn't it? It's is you're gonna get no, we're getting Nathan Jones. Oh no, you're not. Oh yes, we are. Oh no, you're not. Then you're gonna go and get Aaron Ramsey. Oh yes, you are. Oh no, we're not. And again, it's never a dull day down Cardiff City. We sing when skies are grey for a reason. Like, let's be brutally honest. Um, but for me, like I said, this time next week they would have done their initial preseason testing and what have you. This month now gives them a week. These players, he'll probably ring the players. He'll touch base with the players. It's a fresh start. It's
Yeah.
it's somebody that probably goes against the grain of managers that we've had in the past. That necessarily isn't renowned for direct or set piece football and so on. And ultimately, he's probably not afraid to ring in some favors from, like Lee is saying there, from the likes of Pep or someone that say, listen, I need a winger. So
Hmm.
it's a fresh start for these players. They have to use it as a fresh start. They have to use it as, right, we need to right the wrongs of last year. And again, like, if players do leave, it's the next man up. You need to be chomping at the bit to get that shirt off the player in front of you. And hopefully that is the case. And I believe it probably will be the case. And like you said, we've had so many grey areas at the club and we've had so many dark moments that we really, really need some light. And hopefully this is the start of that light.
Hmm. But yeah, going on, let's read some of these comments out. 3-year deal suggest Tan trusts him. I'll give him the backing and time. Corner, Tan will give him time because he won't want to pay another manager off. It's our fans that I worry won't give him time. Kyle, having a young manager could potentially be a good thing for the youngsters we have. But Jamie, what style of football do you think BBM will go with?
High
Brilliant
tempo.
question, Kyle.
High
High
tempo has got to
tempo.
be. I think you've just got to understand, like you said, what Cardiff City DNA is, and what fans really do get off their seats for. And again, there's enough homegrown players there that will be able to tell you what Cardiff City means to them because they're fans, but also what it means to their families and so on. And I think, again, you can't come into this with preconceived ideas. I think that's the problem. Maybe in the past, people look at Cardiff City from the outside and they don't realize what it's actually like when you get there.
Yeah.
And I think that actually surprises a few people. They go, "Oh, I didn't realize it was this bad." This is a blank canvas. Again, there's all rumors flying around, like the prospective sales and all this malarkey. The focus has to be on what's on the pitch. You train your hardest, you play to your full hardest. Don't matter what's going on above your head and above your pay grade. You have a job to do, and I really do hope that the players this year, and I'm sure they will, have no regrets, because I can guarantee a lot of them are probably having a lot of regrets and stewing on what happened last year.
Yeah, going on this one, beer. Logan, thanks, mate. I hope he's no nonsense manager, no favourites, pressing football. And by the way, lads, have you seen we're linked with a player called Powdy O'Connor, and
Yeah,
apparently he's a leader.
yeah, good player for Lincoln.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
he's someone that a lot of EFL clubs are looking at, because he did play well for Lincoln, to be fair. But again, we are in our own right a big club in League One now. Now, sometimes that means that you may have to pay over the odds, unfortunately. And I think maybe that's what we've done in the past, and it's probably not got us in a good position, because people like to raise the price a little bit. But we are missing a centre half now. Dimitrios Gutas is gone. We need a centre half to come in and fill the void, because we don't want, no disrespect, right backs having to fill in at centre half again this year.
Mate, I've just seen this question from Morgan now. He also mentioned Ken Dalman and Steve Bowley, and no mention of Tan.
Be interesting to watch
That's
after the show, that's for sure.
yeah. But yeah, going on. Kyle Burston, Brian Barry Murphy's Barmy Army. That sounds really good though, Jim, doesn't it? It goes
Yeah.
really good.
The
Corner. Go on, sorry, Jim.
No,
Go
it's
on.
funny because, like, you've seen all these things. I think Plymouth fans was making a song because they were linked to getting him, and they were singing about Barry Murphy and stuff. So, again, like, yeah, Connor's saying about this, how it could have went the other way. Whoever's, if they have stepped in, like, Connor's saying there, that's fantastic. Credit where it's due. But again, it comes back to the structure, doesn't it? If you have a structure in place and the people doing their jobs and no one else's jobs, etc., then you wouldn't need to worry or have these worries. But listen, the guys in the door now, is we can all dissect, like we have done for weeks, about the wrongs and who should be doing what and what should have been doing what. But now I think our focus really needs to look forward to, what's this guy gonna, what's he gonna bring? His assistant coach talks a good game as well. He also backs up the whole youngsters. I listened to an interview when I saw his name was linked the other day, and he talked about his time at Rochdale, bringing in through the youngsters, making sure that they have a platform to succeed. So, if you're a youngster at this club, your ears must be,
Yeah.
probably, you'd be in the gym now. You'd be thinking, there you go, I'm your biggest fan. I'll follow you across the country. Brian Barry Murphy, the Lady Gaga song, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, mate, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Like, yeah, mate, I'm trying to pinch myself because it just feels too be good to be true. But until I'm proven different, I'm on a high. Uh, Ryrie 20, I think Ryrie 20. We also need the players on the right position, because last season was shocking. Players
Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah, we've
Square
spoken
peg
this
round
many
holes, isn't it?
times. Yeah.
We don't want to see, no disrespect to Rinnemote as an out and out centre midfielder. We don't want to have him at right back should he stay. We don't want to be having Callum O'Dowda, who's throughout his career until Cardiff was a left winger. We don't necessarily want to see him at left back, and that's not a criticism, because they both gave their all, and that's all we can ask for. But when you're putting square pegs in round holes, good managers pick that off, and I think last year we were easily picked off at times because it's not their natural positions.
Yeah. Kyle again. Keep the questions coming in, guys. Kyle Bursland, would be nice to fans and players and coaches to sing off the team hymn sheet. I think we've been going on for this for years, Jim. It sounds excited. It sounds like a brand new project coming in. Already, just seeing the youngsters and like being around Pep and different things like that. It just, I don't know. It just gets the blood going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very exciting time. I know we've been relegated, but maybe this was the best thing, that needed to happen for maybe for Tan to wake up and smell the coffee and
Mm.
take in charge. Like,
I think
but
the key thing to me, Dan, is I talked about it a few times, is the environment. A lot of the time, I
mm,
think the environment, especially, it affects the fans, and it obviously affects the players because they do hear the outside noise. They probably hear the inside stuff that's going on, or the rumors as well, and all the speculation. Brian Barry Murphy's been in a winning environment with Man City. It's been in a demanding environment because let's be brutally honest, whether it's the under 16s, 21s, they're expected to win as much as they can whenever they can. And in a place like Manchester City, there's always another coach, whether it's from Brazil or whatever, they will happily pull in. It's no issue for them. So, if he produces the right environment, a winning environment and a proper mentality about the club and almost has this element of accountability, because I say it all the time about accountability. Players need to be accountable for their actions, and in terms of positive actions or negative actions. If he feels that certain players are playing underwhelmingly, he
mm,
takes them off, and it sets a tone. And I think it can go as good, and it can be a great thing, or it can go terribly wrong. And we're hoping for the first thing, that it's going to be good. And again, we've only been told about his assistant coach. We haven't been told about another coach. We haven't been told about a goalkeeping coach. So there's still other holes that we're yet to find out yet for the coaching side of things. Now people are
yeah.
talking about, let's get some players in. It's so much to look forward to, and the next couple of days and the next few weeks are going to be huge.
Yeah, I think as well, Lee have said, but depending on his relationship with Pep, he may take a couple of Man City up and coming players. And like you spoke about it, James, as well, that he's had a good relationship. But also, what I find really good, a lot of speculation at the minute, could we finally be getting a director of football, Jim?
I mean, I think someone said earlier on that the head coach term, isn't it? It's not very, it's definitely not used for us. The word head coach, the title or whatever. And I know people say it's only a title, but I think the last person, maybe mistaken, the last person we called head coach was Trollope, I think maybe. And I know that's not a great example by any means, but structure is something we're crying out for. Whether that means no director of football, but somebody that genuinely is taking care of, the first team and the others, and there's a clear link and pathway, well, communicate that. So then fans can
Mm.
almost know that there is that carousel, that there's a clear way in there. And I think the player pathway at any football club is important. There needs to be a clear way of getting up to the first team. Because why else would you be at a football club if you don't want to play first team football?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's very exciting. I know this has been a quick, but yeah, thank you everyone for joining the Central Stand. This is very exciting. Quickly, if you have got any questions, I will give you another minute to put your questions in if you want to ask anything to me and Jamie. But yeah, Michael King's got one beer. Hopefully, he'll play some attacking football from
One
Kidney
kidney
Mike.
Mike.
Is it
Yeah,
one
so
kidney Mike?
he's a good lad. So Mike he comes with us on the train. To be fair, he gave his sister one of his kidneys because she was in dire need of it. So he donated the kidney to her. So hats off to him. Fair play.
Oh, legend, mate. Mate, he's sounding like one of our own already, mate. Um, Jim A. Kia. I'm dyslexic, so hopefully I read that right. If I've heard there's a bid in for City, the fact BBM only talked about people other than Tan, hopefully it's true. I think it's been a lot of speculation going on. With everything going on, like Jim, I wouldn't mind it, but at this time now, I think we just all need to focus on what's coming up in a few weeks, because we could be waiting till the end of next year for him to sell, because they gonna go back and forth with all these new restrictions and stuff. You know.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because what we all want is in any day life is we want it here, we want it now, and we want it straight away, you know. However, the problem is with modern day football, due to the lack of, let's be brutally honest, the lack of maturity with some owners, they've just made mullered clubs. You know, we've seen a lot of clubs who've gone unfortunately under because of owners who almost treat clubs like a poker chip. You know, it shouldn't work like that. We've seen Reading, who, you know, for now they've been taken over, so they're happy. But Sheffield Wednesday, like we mentioned yesterday, they've got an owner that just completely doesn't pay bills, doesn't want to play his, you know, pay his employers. So to that extent, we're lucky that Tan
Yeah,
hasn't
they
done
could
that.
always be worse. Yeah.
But then obviously the thing for me is like there you see these rumors of Gareth Bale and part of a consortium. You want a bit of that pie, don't you? You want a bit of, you want to be in that sort of bracket that if, you know, no disrespect, if Gareth Bale is rumored to be buying Plymouth, why the hell is he not trying to buy Cardiff City? And again, that could be because the asking price is so high. But I think the whole case, the legal case that's over, you know, over our heads at the minute. When that's done, maybe we'll see probably a lot more momentum. But listen, it's never a dull day with this club, is it? Like, you know, all these questions are flying in, to be fair. So I don't know if you're going to whack them on the screen, Dan, but there's loads. I'm trying to read them now as
I
well.
know, I know, I know. Marlo, it's a miracle my ball patch has grown since the announcement, lol. Well, that's great stuff, Marlo. Like, I bet you're bouncing, mate. Like, I can't wait for Spain with you, mate.
We'll have to have
I
a
can't
Guinness
wait.
now. We'll have to have a
Yeah,
Guinness for Byron Murphy.
yeah, we will. Going on to Michael King. Roll on Blackpool, Jamie.
A cracking trip Blackpool for everyone, isn't it?
I think a few of us are thinking about doing the weekend there. I know I'm definitely going to do the weekend there, depending on when, because my son's due in August. But right, Lawson Richards, new season, last season history. Let's go behind the club. Lawson, couldn't agree more. What do you think about Jim?
Absolutely spot on. That, you know, we can all dwell on the past, but like we've said with Vincent Tan, you know, I've been quite open, you know, about the director of football situation. If you dwell on something for so often, it just puts you off, doesn't it? The only way is to look forward now. What's done is done, and ultimately, last year was unacceptable and it was diabolical. This year,
Yeah,
new start, blank canvas, right the wrongs from last year, and
yeah.
hopefully, you know, a lot of people will be coming in with optimism. They'll be happy because they're ticking off some of these grounds, or the older fans will be going back to the grounds that they've been 2 years ago, and they'll tell you the tales of. So there's plenty of room for optimism this year.
Yeah, Daniel Paul, and I've seen Mrs. Anderson replying. Daniel Paul, we all of us going, which we can't wait.
Yeah,
Jim. You
that'll
know,
be
I'm
brilliant.
coming back. I'm going on the 11th on the Friday to Spain. Coming back on the Sunday, Tuesday, straight to away day. Oh mate, I can't wait. Like
Well, it's
everything just
interesting.
seems to be coming together. Huh?
Because it's interesting because obviously while the first team will be out in Spain, the 21s are playing Barry Town on that week. So like, you know, so there is always something to do. Again, like if anyone's not going out to Spain, or if they're not going to do certain fixtures, keep an eye on the 21s fixtures, because again, if the manager's willing to play these youngsters, why not go and have a little taste and a little look at these youngsters?
Yes.
Familiarize yourself with who they are. Because who knows, in 6-7 weeks' time, the likes of Manny Barton and Tans Nyakua, just to mention two, they might all of a
Mm.
sudden be on, you know, in and around the first team, and all of a sudden people will be like, "Who's it?" You know, you already know what they've got to offer.
Yeah, I think when you you see the under 21s like Michael Raindorf, I was like a proud dad when he came on, for Coventry. Hayden Griffiths, do you reckon relegation has been a kick up the arse for Tan, or do you reckon we will still make it outrageous calls?
I think it's got to be a reality check. I think for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, it doesn't, you know, in any day life, you know, especially when you look at the big thing for him is about his reputation. To finish bottom of anything is embarrassing, but to then have obviously this sort of relegation, which then again is further embarrassing. It doesn't look good. Now again, we're not. We talk about it all the time, don't we? Having the right people doing the right things at the club. You know, if as long as he keeps pressing that button to keep pressing, you know, the paying the bills, leave someone else do the footballing decisions, and then I think you'll get better value for your money. And I think in the past, like you said, is like Lawson said, history is history. We can't, you know, forget about the history, and we won't forget about what's gone on. But if this is a
mm,
blank canvas now, interference from above as such, negative interference, let's say, it can't happen because again, you've got to leave the footballing people do their thing. That's what they're being paid to do. Let them do it.
Yeah, let them cook, innit, Jim? Let them cook. Right, Kyle. Faster Tan sells up the better. He's dragged our club name through the dirty four for a flot long enough. Daniel Paul. Replying to Daniel Paul. Natalie Lewis Anderson. Awesome. We'll see you all there. Michael's asking, are you going to Spain?
No, I won't be, unfortunately. I always say, right, I'm the only one out of my four that have got passports. So it's for me, it's all four or not at all. So in this case, I won't be going to Spain. I'm sure it'd be a great laugh for everyone else to go out there. But I think, as I said, I think it's Barry Town. I think, or something like that on that same day. So I'll be going to watch the 21s and
Yeah, I think it's on the Friday. I think, Jim. I think it's on the
I think
Friday.
Barry's on the Saturday. I think it is. Do you know, our staff, they've got a big spreadsheet of the fixtures, the pre-season fixtures, and yeah, I mean the Barry Town game will be a test, I suppose, because it'd be a good, like, you know, for the youngsters, it'd be a good thing. Barry Town Saturday the 12th. So yeah, the same day as when you guys will be sending it up in Spain, we'll be down in Costa del Gena.
Yeah, so let's go on then. Robert, what's your thoughts on the rumours of a takeover? I don't think Tan will listen to anyone until the Salah case is over. It looks very likely that he's gonna win the case. I've spoken to a few people. I've had a few people talk about American people, a guy from Malaysia, and I've talked to a few people who know these sources quite well. It's been in the talks for some quite a few times. So I think if he haven't been involvement with the manager, that kind of gives me an indication that okay, maybe, because I know he's actually started talking to the Americans where he wasn't giving them the time of day before. But you know, I don't really know. I'm just going by sources that I've been told.
I
But
think you've got
yeah,
to look at it, Dan. It's clever because ultimately, if no one wants to sell, then you just, you know, the door's closed, isn't it? You're just standing outside waiting for the door open. We've seen now a lot of American investment and various investment from, you know, the likes of Saudi and stuff because they have got the money to do it, and you know, especially American investment, it's more prevalent now in football. Like I don't know what it is, but I remember somebody saying in regards to like JJ Watt at Burnley. You know, I think there's something like if you have a share or something in a football club, they almost feel like they're an owner of a football club. But a lot of the things you see nowadays are consortium led. So there's multiple people, and that's just the modern way, you know, I think things are going because ultimately money's tight for the average Joe down the street. You know, it's hard sometimes. And I said yesterday, football is, unless you're up there and you're getting these massive checks from Champions League and stuff, you're going to be losing money. So you've got to be open to that. And remember, football, you can't just invest in football because it's 11 players and that's what you're paying for. No, you're paying for the staff that work behind the scenes. You're paying for the bills, you know, you're paying for the pitch renovations and stuff. So you can't go in there thinking, oh, I'm just going to buy 10 players. No, you need to make sure you're looking after the employers as well, because at the end of the day, without the people behind the scenes, football clubs don't run. And again, like I said, that unfortunately for us, when we've been relegated, the natural thing is those harsh, you know, changes have to happen. And you know, if anyone has lost their jobs or anything like that, we don't know. But if they have, then you know, hopefully there's something out there for them because you know we don't want it to be, you know, too damning for them.
okay, Jim. We've got. I'm going to do two more questions. Best away days in League One in your personal opinion, Hayden Griffiths.
Well, I'm a like a stickler for a terrace. I love a terrace. I went to Exeter to watch Joel Colwell, and their away end literally is to the left hand of the tunnel. You've got about 100 seats, and the rest of it's just a terrace. So that's right behind the goal. That'll be brilliant. When it's Stevenage is okay. Best away, I think people are just going to say, Nate, the likes of Blackpool. You know, when you
Yeah.
like it, Dan, and you know, again, a lot of what we did last year was just have a laugh. We just tended to we'd have the 90 minutes of frustration or whatever, but when the football's done, we were just having a good laugh either way. So yeah, Blackpool is probably the one everyone will look forward to.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to my dad, and back in the day, my dad was, with the Soul Crew and that back in the day, and he was telling me, "Oh, it was rough there. It was, a small stadium there. Oh, I remember I could tell you a few stories about that away day, and it's like, yeah, I can't wait, mate. But thank you
Bradford.
so much. Yeah, oh, Marlow, Bradford. I'm really looking forward to that. And Jamie Kia. My point was Bawley and Gav got BBM for the door. None of Tan's team. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I know it was all of a sudden show for the night, but thank you so much, Mr. Jamie Anderson. Without him, this show wouldn't be possible tonight. And yeah, put your comments down below. What do you think Cardiff City are going to finish this year? Let's see a few comments, what everyone thinks we're going to finish this league.
Go on. It'd be
What do you
interesting
think?
because I mean, again, I think anything from 8th upwards, I think that's where we should be looking at. Before a ball's been kicked, without any of the players going. However, again, it depends how we apply ourselves, doesn't it? And who we sign. This is a new lease of life for a lot of people, and again, I think that's why I'm excited is the fact that knowing these 21, these under 21 players, the under 18 players, to see a young manager who is, I know we talk is cheap, don't get me wrong, and I know that people have come out and said things in the past and so on about, oh yeah, I'm going to play the youngsters. He genuinely has a track record of playing youngsters, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that we do see some really, really bright sparks. And like I said, I'm pretty sure now it's rumor mill's gonna get quicker because people are going to be linking us with any Man City or Leicester product for sure.
Well, it's not going to be manager rumours we're going to hear now. It's going to be player rumours. So that's something to look forward to, Jim. I'm sick of seeing managers. I'm happy we got over the line. I know as soon as I get off here, I'm going to be watching that interview. I bet you're going to be doing the same. But everyone, thank you for tuning in. I know we haven't really pushed it, but thank you for everyone for supporting, turning up on the live stream, commenting. I really appreciate you, and it means a lot. Upper Bluebirds, keep the faith, and we will see you at the stands. And let's make Cardiff great again, boys. Come on, Blue.